and boom goes the Django. Boom goes the Django. Oh my golly, I have been working on this crap way too long. So look at this, look at this. This is my main computer, and my main computer now has access to my chore app that is running on my home server. Boom, I say. And you're probably sitting there going, Eli, why are you so excited? Why, Eli, you've been doing technology since 1996. Why are you so excited about getting a crappy ass web application showing up on your computer? And the reason is because, my friends, the documentation for Django is absolute freaking garbage. So bad. So bad. So very bad. So anyways, if you're going to be working with Django, right, one of the interesting things is, so when you install Django onto your system, you get basically a plug and play solution. It comes with the framework, obviously. It also comes with a SQLite database engine, and it comes with a web server. The thing is, the way it goes in the Linux world is the web server that they give you is apparently garbage. Like literally, within Django's documentation, they say we are not a web server company, we're a framework company. So, as soon as you build the app that you want to build, but if you're going to put it into a production environment, use a different web server. So then it's like, okay, well, what kind of web server do you use? I don't know. Is it Apache? Is it Nginx? What do you do? Well, apparently what you do is you use a Gunicorn. Gunicorn. And apparently this is an application server. So you have Gunicorn basically as an application server to present your web application. But it's an application server. It's not a really good web server. So then what they tell you to do is you take Nginx. So Nginx is a web server. Part of what it can do is actually act as something called a reverse proxy. So it essentially can be like a web server in between the users and your internal infrastructure. So then you get Nginx. So you have your code, then you have to install Gunicorn, and then once you install Gunicorn, you have to install Nginx. And then with all of this, in order to make sure that Gunicorn turns on, you have to create a service for it. And yeah, it's a lot of documentation. So you're sitting here and you're copying code and you're modifying files and you're doing all of this kind of stuff. And the issue is when you have piss poor documentation, right? So I've been going around trying to find the documentation for what to do, right? So Gunicorn service, this is actually under DigitalOcean. Again, everybody's god-awful documentation for Django. And so anyways, you create the service in order for the whole socket thing, and you go through and you create the user. So the user that's going to start up the service, the group, the home working directory, and then this exec start. Fuck you. So anyways, so it's like, okay, wherever your thing is, then you do Gunicorn. So if you're at the command line, you can go essentially to where your Django application is. You can run Gunicorn with 0.0.0.0, :8000 or 80, and that will spin up the web service. Or will spin it up so you can actually get to it as a website. So I got this, and I typed basically my version of this in, and it kept failing. So I went back to the command line and make sure, okay, if I'm at this, will this run? Yes, it does. Okay, well, maybe this up here was wrong. So I'd switch this around a couple of times. I don't know that. Okay, maybe take a look at this. Maybe go here. Anyways. So yeah, I've been working on this for a few hours because this should be really simple. Right? Exec star, executable star equals blah. They tell you what it should be. Modify it for your environment and go on. But the interesting thing, what I finally figured out with all this is what it should just basically be is Gunicorn. Exec star equals Gunicorn. Done. Not the rest of this horse crap. Don't know why that's there. Don't know how that works. I'm sure somebody will tell me what a dummy I am. But basically, the last, so it's 2 o'clock. So basically, since this morning, 4 hours. I spent 4 hours on Unix timestamps, and now I've spent 4 hours on exec start. Basically, 4 hours of troubleshooting to figure out all you type in there is Gunicorn. And the funny thing is, I've been through so many question and answer sites, I've been through so much documentation, and everybody shows this. That doesn't work. There's just like this random, where was it? Somebody said it. One of these things. One of these people said it. Anyways, again, I was just going around and somebody was like, hey, have you thought about just doing this? And I was like, well, maybe that'll work. And so that's what I did. So anyways, there you go. Gunicorn is an ugly unicorn. Gunicorn is the ugliest unicorn. It's a fat, lazy, nasty unicorn. I don't like no Gunicorns. Give me a real unicorn. But anyways, that's just my complaininess. But I got it up and ready now. So again, this is my, you'll notice up here, there's no fancy stuff in here, 192.168.1.20, so that's the IP address. I should be able to get rid of that. What happens if I get rid of that? Yep, okay, if I get rid of that, it still pops up too. Oh yeah, so again, the Nginx web server is providing this as the default website at this point in time. So I could get a domain name and point a domain name at this thing if I did port forwarding and all the rest of this. So this is an actual web application that functions using standard networking protocols and all that kind of stuff. At this point, this could get packaged up and connected to an external IP address, and then it could get hacked to high hell and back. But anyways, yay! So there you go. I don't know. It's Thursday now. It's Thursday. So if you're looking at Django and how long it takes you to get to this point in time, I started Wednesday before last. So we're at like day 15 at this point. So it's taken me 15 days to go from not knowing anything about Django, like literally not having a damn clue how this thing works, to being able to build an application and actually deploy it into a networking environment for, what it's worth. So that's not bad. You know what I'm saying? Like in the tech world, because you figure I probably spend about 2 hours a day, 2 hours a day on the weekdays. So there's been a couple of weekends in between. So 15 day. So this is like 20 hours. This is like 20 to 22 hours of work to get to this point. And now that I know this, I know how the template engine works. I know how freaking Gunicorn works. Because again, that's like one of the biggest problems. Like a lot of noobs laugh at me when I talk about that type of thing. But that's what kills you. Like freaking Unix timestamps. Unix timestamps killed me for 4 hours. I spent 4 hours on Unix timestamps because I was trying to filter things in the template instead of filter things within the views file. And so you're not really supposed to do that. So it's a complete pain in the ass to do. So that wasted a lot of time. Again, today, like 4 hours today to get Gunicorn up and freaking running. Because, again, I've never done it before. I think that's the interesting thing, too. And that's an important thing to understand with, like, technology and when you're learning technology, is once you know how to do something, or once at least you know how it's supposed to work, then troubleshooting going into the future is pretty easy. It's like, oh, okay, now I understand how Gunicorn is supposed to work. So if I ran into problems in the future, I would have that idea in my head of what a known good looks like. And so then I could try to troubleshoot to see what the problem is. The issue is when you're new to a technology, you don't really know what a known good looks like. You've never actually deployed it. So all you got is a whole bunch of documentation that may or may not be right, that may or may not have been written by sadistic bastards. And so you got to figure that out. And so once you've done that, right, once you figured out, okay, views is where you put the intelligence. Okay, this is how you do, you do your own notes on this is how you do Gunicorn. As you start to do that, then the interesting thing is, past that, it becomes faster and faster and faster to actually be able to build and then deploy solutions because you're not running into these really tiny problems. And that's the other big thing to understand, again, if you want to be a technology professional. It's one of the reasons I like doing these videos with ETCG experiments is basically the whole thing of showing you what a pain in the ass this can be. I mean, do you know how frustrating it is? So I've been doing tech since 96, as I keep saying. So what is that, 27 years? Frick, I should not be able to say that. Anyways, let's just say plus 20 years. Decades, I've been doing tech for decades. Do you know how frustrating it is to spend 4 hours just to get a damn Unix timestamp when you have done technology for decades? Not only is it frustrating because you can't figure out what the hell's going on, but you also kind of sort of feel like an idiot. You're like, maybe I did pick the wrong career field, right? But the important thing with being a technology professional is that you keep pushing through and you keep pushing through and you keep pushing through until you figure it out. Again, with Gunicorn, the ugliest of all the unicorns, right? I was sitting here and I went through all the instructions, and then when it didn't work, it was troubleshooting and trying and taking a look and experimenting and seeing what one person said and seeing what a different person said and seeing if that would work. And something that should have taken me, 10 minutes of, hunting and pecking and coding the crap in ends up taking me 4 hours. But the important thing is that I kept pushing through to figure out where the problem was. Instead of saying, I suck, instead of being like, I'm stupid, which I probably am, right? Instead of sitting here and crying and curling into a ball and giving up, I kept working until I figured out the problem. And now that I know the solution to the problem, in the future it'll be easy. In the future, I'll just walk through my classroom and be like, oh, you obviously don't know how a Gunicorn works. Anywho, so there we go. We have a live web application that's only available on my local area network. This is something else for you folks to be thinking about if you want to build web applications. Because one of the big things when you build web applications is there is that concern about security, especially as you're new to doing things. And so one of the things that you might consider for yourself is just building an internal server, right? So this is an internal server. There are no ports forwarded from the outside world to this thing. This will only be accessible from the internal network. And the valuable thing about that is it means I get to build a web application. I get to see it function in a normal networking environment. Again, so we're actually using Nginx, we're actually using Gunicorn, we're actually doing everything that we're supposed to, but I don't have to worry about it getting hit by like random DDoS attacks and that type of thing. And so that's one of the reasons I'm actually having this. This is, one of my 10-year-old MacBook Pros. I'm gonna have this just sitting in a corner being the server so that I can build these little interesting apps, to solve different problems. I can have it running, I can have it completely functional. I can have the application working to the point that if I did want to port it up to the cloud, I can just copy and paste the files. Basically, I can just create the environment up in the cloud, copy and paste the files, and be done with it. Right? So I get the experience of playing around in a realish world environment without having to deal with, hackers trying to DDoS the damn thing. So this is something that you might actually be thinking about for the world, when you're going to do your own self-teaching or whatever. So there you go. Gunicorn, the ugliest of the unicorns. If you like these kinds of videos, give them a thumb up or give them a thumb down. YouTube does not care about the health of the interaction, so long as there's an interaction. Leave a comment, subscribe, do all that kinds of stuff, and I'll see you all later.